Some people will say this is Arsenal bottling it. Do you agree with that? Or are you thinking this is just, I don't know, a little blip and they can still come good?
I think they look like a team who don't know how to get over the line. That's how I look at it. Because you can adapt the way you play and you can make sure. One thing you don't do when you're 2-0 up, and they've been in that position twice, and even giving Southampton the lead, and give Southampton their credit. Yeah. They had a style last night and they knew what Arsenal wanted to do, and they robbed them of the ball early and got themselves a lead quite, 2-0 up. Look, their 2 points of loss is just as big as Arsenal's for them. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Arsenal know how to get over the line. And I think that showed in the last 3 games that you can win games and you might win them ugly, but don't give the opposition anything. If they don't make that mistake, they don't make that mistake, they are going to get chances in the game to win it.
They had chances. They had 25 attempts in the game. Only 6 were on target, which was exactly the same as Southampton. It's interesting you talk about not getting it over the line. That's exactly what happened last season when you think about their top 4 pursuit. And in the end, it was Spurs that overhauled them and finished in the Champions League places. But the inevitable talk is that they are going through a collapse at the exact wrong moment to be going through this, especially as they've got Manchester City next in the league on Wednesday. They are 5 points clear of Manchester City. Everyone's saying it's still very much in Arsenal's hand, but of course City do have 2 games in hand. It's always said that you'd rather have points on the board than games in hand, of course. But it's not the most ideal preparation, is it, to be coming into this game having twice been pegged back in games as they were done against Liverpool and West Ham, and to also have conceded 3 against a side struggling at the bottom end of the table. Is this now the chance that you see actually, and everyone keeps saying, I should say as well, that if Arsenal win every game now until the end of the season, they'll be champions, which is all fact, but they can't win games at the moment. That's their biggest problem.
And they're giving away easy chances for the opposition to score. Yeah. They weren't conceding these type of goals earlier on in the season. Now they are. Now, can you resolve it? Can you put in a performance and go to the Etihad and win? Well, you've seen your own club go there and do it. Other clubs have done it before. It's a big ask, but you're up against seasoned winners. This team has won 4 of the last 5 Premier Leagues. So they know how to do it. They won't get edgy. They won't. Man City, I think in the Champions League, you've sort of seen the consequence of Man City in the Champions League in years gone by, of them making mistakes that didn't enable them to win the competition. They've been well good enough to win Champions League. I know it's a cup competition. This season in the Champions League, they've not made any mistakes so far. Mm-hmm. And that stood out for me about Man City's Champions League campaign. This year, Arsenal are making mistakes now in the Premier League, which you got to avoid at your peril.
Well, what about Southampton, though? Let's give them credit, because they gave Arsenal a game. And there were times in that match, prior to Arsenal getting back into it late on as they did, that it was all players defending. They're putting their bodies on the line. I thought Southampton at times looked just brilliant. And you could tell this was a team fighting to stay up. It's a valued point. Yes, they'll feel that they've dropped points as they were leading the game, but no one expected them to get anything out of this trip to the Emirates. So it's a massive sort of confidence booster, perhaps, going into this run-in where they've got to face Bournemouth, Newcastle.
Next game, isn't it? Bournemouth
exactly.
At home,
yeah, that's on Thursday.
Yeah.
Then Newcastle away, then Forest away, Fulham at home, Brighton away, and they finish with Liverpool at home. The problem they have, of course, is that they have now played a game more than every other team above them, I should say, and they're still 3 points from safety. But have you seen something in that performance yesterday that might make you think Southampton could get out of the trouble they're in?
Well, I see the performance at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea when they won 1-0, and they played like they did last night, obviously, but didn't concede any goals. But then Chelsea can't score any anyway. So, and I saw a team effort that day that made me think they had a chance. I think the same way as I do about Arsenal. I think that 2 points that they've lost last night won't win Arsenal the title. And I think the same applies to Southampton, where the 2 points they've dropped will probably relegate them. Because if they'd have won last night and then they had Bournemouth at home I think it would have been slightly different. They could have gone back-to-back wins to give them a real leg up to have a chance to stay in the Premier League. I think that felt like it was taken away from last night. Look, there's still games to go. There's still enough points to play for. All the cliches are going to come out, and we're all going to look, yes, Arsenal can do this. You need a little bit of proof, and you've got to show an authority when you're leading or when you're trying to survive. I've seen teams survive with incredible runs, from Sunderland doing it with Connor Wickham, with Tevez at West Ham when they did it. I've seen teams do it, but I don't see that often enough with Southampton. That's my problem.
Yeah. One bonus we should say for Arsenal is that they have now officially qualified for the Champions League. They can't be overtaken. And you remember St. Tottering Day?
Yes.
That's also happened as well. They cannot be overtaken by Tottenham for the first time since 2016. So there are some positives, perhaps, to take.
Not for Tottenham, there's not.
No, definitely not for Tottenham. And I did think it was a little bit telling at the full-time whistle when you saw the reactions, some of those players, and I'm talking the Arsenal players in particular, who sort of fell to the ground, and you saw even Mikel Arteta holding his head in his hands as well for a split second. It just felt a little bit telling that maybe they thought, oh, this one got away from us and this was a win. This was a banker that we needed.
Don't give it away.
Yeah.
That's my message would have been is whatever we do as a team, just don't make mistakes that we give games away and points, and they've done that.